talk about the semi-final. So today's game, what do you guys reckon in terms of who will go through? I know you already touched on it already, but who do you think will, or do you think it'll be a close game? Do you think do you think PSG will wipe the floor with them?
Should we let the
So
Arsenal
if you look at
fans
the first 15 minutes of that game, the formation was 4-3-3, and admittedly they were all over us, right?
Yeah.
Then Arteta changes it to a 4-2-3-1, right? And then I think overall in that game we had like 55% possession of the entire game. And
Who dropped deep with Rice in that game when you went to 43-1? Was it Marino?
Yeah, Marino, yeah. Because we had Leo up top. So I just think, besides the fact that we had those opportunities, yes, they had theirs. We also had a goal that was disallowed. And I think if we start up like that again, I think we've got a greater chance of actually starting off on a front foot. Also taking into consideration Partey's back as well now. So I think that kind of solid midfield presence, and he's able to sniff out any danger as well. I feel like that gives you a bit more of a solid foundation. And then I think it's all about who can control the game.
Yeah.
If you look at their midfield, bro, they were just passing it around first 15 minutes, and look what happened. They scored the goal straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you were overrun in the first leg because of, I think, obviously you were missing Partey, right? Which you'd think that won't be as much of the case this time round.
But on the weekend they got overrun by Bournemouth while he was in the midfield. He was playing as well. Nah, the first half you were brilliant. First half, second half, I think they just.
I think you can't deny the fact that like perhaps the motivation for that is going to be different, right?
Going,
when you're playing at like 8-9 o'clock, in France, right?
Yeah.
You're playing under the lights, and you know what's at stake. You know you're going to perform completely different to an afternoon against Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
I think the tie is still very much open.
It's very much open. One goal is nothing, man.
I will just say this. Fine, you're missing Partey. I get all of that, right? And it is a big loss. I actually feel like he didn't get as much credit as he should have in the Madrid legs.
Yeah.
People obviously raving about Rice. I get it because of the goals he scored. But actually, if you look at the midfield, the only reason why Rice was able to do what he did, and even for me, Partey's performance was better. Like as in, it contributed more to how the game went.
Yeah.
Even though Rice bagged
maybe
the
perhaps
two
a
free kicks.
non-Arsenal fans, but I think Arsenal fans appreciate what he's able to do.
Who's that?
Partey. So when he when he got suspended, when he got that yellow card, we knew like.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make the point that I feel like Partey probably didn't even get enough credit as he should have for the Madrid games.
Yeah.
Because everyone was too busy, obviously, raving about Rice because of his free kicks. Fine, I get it. But it was actually, for me, the best midfielder on that pitch was clearly Partey.
Well, I was fuming. As soon as he got that yellow card, it's unnecessary as well.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that, okay, fine, I get that he's back today, yeah? But I think, even though he was missing, considering how the last time you lot were in a Champions League game at home at the Emirates, how that went for you guys and how electric that was, the fact that even under them circumstances, PSG were able to get a result, right? I get you had chances, but they had chances as well. That if they'd buried, they would have buried the tie, probably, in my opinion. Now, if I now take what I've seen in the first leg and now think, right, now it's in their home ground, where you guys will automatically lose that advantage. I've got to favour PSG. To be honest,
do you feel?
I think you'll get chances to score, but I also think they'll
do you feel
get
like
chances
perhaps
to
you've
score.
got a bias because the first 15 minutes is basically your entire like summary of how that game went, when in actuality the game was pretty much in Arsenal's control once that formation changed. Because I feel like it's easy for people to say, "Oh, Arsenal are rubbish," you know.
I find I agree that you regained some of like a footing in the game, but I just think that, like, if you're looking at chances,
all I'm saying is, look, they had chances. We had chances.
It's
right?
no good controlling the game if you're not creating chances.
They had
I'll say
chances.
they were comfortable as well.
Yeah, they were comfortable. Yeah, you never made. I don't think they were ever uncomfortable.
Okay, fair enough. But they had chances. We had chances as well, right?
Which is why for me the tie's still open.
Yeah, it's only one goal,
Yeah.
right? So imagine Trossard scored, or Martinelli scored, or even the Mikel Merino header went in, right? The tie could switch in any moment. So although it's a 1-0 lead, bro, like we can toss it up, but ultimately, I think the tie is definitely open. I think it can go any way now.
Sure.
I think the lead, if it was 2-0, I'd say, okay, there's a very, very slim chance that Arsenal can pull anything off. But I think at one goal, all it takes is just one magic moment. And we've seen Declan Rice do it against Real Madrid, right?
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I don't mind continuing about this game, but I will just say, because this episode's not likely to go out before tonight's game, everything we just discussed about it almost becomes a bit irrelevant.
Okay, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Only because of that, you can still probably add snippets of what we said in there.
Yeah.
But I'd say just like, if you want to focus it more towards the final, let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
But being that this obviously won't come out before tonight's
Yeah.
game, a lot of that becomes irrelevant chat anyway.
Nah, hold on. I want to focus it on United.
Okay.
Only unbeaten team in Europe this season.
I-
Let's talk
we,
United.
you know what? We have to talk about Bruno Fernandes, right?
Yeah.
And as much as it pains me as an Arsenal fan to say this, we have to give him his flowers. Bro, what he's doing this season, right? Bro,
He don't want to
Bro.
give him, he don't want to give him yet.
what he's doing right now is crazy, bro. Like, I actually think he's massively disrespected. I think if you were to take him out of a Man United shirt and you were to put him in a Man City shirt or a Liverpool shirt, well, he would be loved. Everyone just thinks, oh, he's a whinger, or they like to hate on Man United, right? Because they're
okay,
down.
As a United fan, I agree he moans a lot, but the reason why he moans is he's been there for what, 5 years now,
Yeah.
and the teams that have been built around him, from what have been given to him, the players that have been given to him. Let me say one thing, right? You know, since he's come in, he's like in terms of a midfielder, he's got the best stats, even above KDB. The reason why he's not. People would say, as a City fan would probably say, or neutrals would say that, nowhere near KDB's level. Why? It's because the difference is, bro, they gave KDB, Aguero, and Haaland. They've given this guy Igalo and Weghorst, and you expect this guy to do miracles. But it's true, though, isn't it? It's like, you know the time that where Ozil almost broke the record for Arsenal.
Yeah.
What happened there? Giroud let him down.
Yeah.
If it weren't Giroud, like, put someone else in. Someone else there.
To back up what you're saying, like, under normal circumstances, you'd look at where United are in the league, 14th or 15th, and you say, you've all been shocking, right?
Yeah.
He's the only player that, despite a Man United team being in 14th or 15th, gets himself into the team of the year.
Yeah.
I look at Arsenal as an example. I look at our captain, Martin Odegaard, right? And I'm happy to say this. The only time he ever performs is when players around him or the entire team is performing, and he plays well. But when the entire team is playing bad, bro, he goes missing. I look at Bruno, I think, like, even when everyone else is playing shit, like, he's a player that is able to make something from the game. He'll get you a goal. He'll do something, right?
Yeah.
So
And he's second as well in top 5. You know, this season for most goal involvements. He's in there with just strikers only. He's just behind Salah. 37 now he's on. Goal above Haaland as well.
Well, you disagree.
And Haaland's injured for 2. Well, Haaland's been injured for 2 months, so that's fair. He probably would have been above.
I don't not rate Bruno, but I just like, you know how you said, if he was in a Liverpool shirt or a Man City shirt,
Bro, Bruno playing under Pep. Bro,
people be raving. But then my question would be, would he be in a Man City shirt though, or would he be in a Liverpool shirt? Who would he get ahead of in them teams?
No, he'd be in a Liverpool shirt all day. You think what? Szoboszlai and Gravenberch? Well, Gravenberch plays a bit deep, but
Yes.
Szoboszlai, he'd get ahead of Szoboszlai all day.
I don't know. You know,
No, I reckon he would.
I don't know.
Maybe not ahead of McAllister. Or maybe, I don't know.
McAllister plays a lot deeper as well.
Yeah. I think he would.
As a 10, he would get in.
And also, this is, you know, like how we've discussed before about the whole, like,
Even
how
in Arsenal, I'll be
people
real.
love people
Bruno
love a
Arsenal
stat.
perform as well.
How people love a stat, yeah. Again, fine. I don't even know about obviously what you said. As in, I can't say for sure if it's accurate what you've said about his stats for this season.
Yeah.
But again, this is where I'm like, for me, stats don't give you the entire picture, because I've watched United games this season where I've just seen Bruno like lose the ball countless times. Always tries to play like the Hollywood pass rather than going for the simple option.
Fair play.
And I'm just like, fine. Stats wise, he might be ahead of KDB or whatever, but it's very rarely that you see KDB. You watch KDB and you're like, you shouldn't have played that.
All right, just play devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't know why I'm doing this, because I'm not even a United fan, right?
This is ex-United.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway,
Yeah.
but wouldn't we're gonna edit that out. Yeah. Isn't it fair to say that, like, if you're a United fan in watching Bruno play, you might have the argument to say, I'm happy for Bruno to lose the ball X amount of times if it means that he's going to produce X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because right in this season, he's putting up the numbers, right? And what's the alternative? That he does less of what he's trying to do, which means that it might reduce his numbers.
Yeah.
Or, like, for me, like, look at Martinelli 2 years ago. The guy was scoring like 20 goals a season, right? And everyone's saying, like he's just running into like no man's land, right? And I was like, well, I would much prefer him keep doing the same thing if it's going to end in him scoring 20 goals at the end of the season.
Yeah, but this is the argument though that I'm trying to make, right? We can talk about if he was in a City shirt, because of the mistake he makes, he might not even be in a City shirt, because Pep's the type of manager where he won't remember the goal that you maybe scored 10 minutes after you gave the ball away 3 times. He'll remember the time when you gave the ball away 3 times.
Yeah, but he's trying to make something happen with shocking players. If he's playing around players with Rodri's and all these other type of players, perhaps he can play a lot simpler. But he's trying to execute something.
Who is Bruno? You're talking about Bruno?
Yeah. If you're playing with in the midfield, you're playing with Rodri or someone like that. Do you think you're going to try and make like a 20-yard pass?
Yeah, I think he does it because he realizes that the rest of the team can't actually play. Like they're shocking. Like if you like, how many times did you see him give the ball to like Garnacho or like, you know what I mean? Like, or who else is in the midfield? Like Eriksen. Like even Eriksen, such a good passer, but he look in that United team. He just looks.
What's Bruno been like in the league?
In the league, he's done well. He's done well. He's still.
Bro, only God would know where United would be if he had like an ACL injury at the start of the season. Bro, I think Amrin would have lost his job. I'll be real.
Oh, is that how much?
Bro, like I know obviously you're safe, but if you were to look at the stats of how many his goals or his assists have like resulted in points gained, bro, I think you'd be closer to the drop, bro. I don't think it would be as the gap wouldn't be as close as far as it is.
United are lucky West Ham are so bad. We'd be below them. We'd be 17th. We're lucky, and without Bruno, I think we'd be further.
And that's saying something, bro. They're sitting in 15th, so it's not something to rave about.
And you got to look at how consistent he is, well, in terms of him playing. Like I think this weekend that's gone, it's the first time he was unused. This weekend just gone, which a game that he hasn't missed because of suspension. He was rested because
just as a side note, just like because we spoke about Arsenal and United. What is your take on Enzo Maresca? Like, do you see him as like a proper Chelsea manager, or do you feel like he needs a bit more time, or do you feel like he's taken them to a level where he's not going to be able to take it to that next step?
He seems like a bit of an interim, isn't it? Like just come in, like just steady the ship.
You know what? It's a difficult question to answer because for me, what are we basing it on? Like, I'll give you an example. I think we're already on the same amount of points as Poch finished on last season, and we've still got 3 games left. Yeah, our goal difference is already better by I can't even remember. I'll have to get the stats up, but a handful of goals. Our goal difference is better. We've still got 3 games left. If he gets us into the top 4/top 5, we've already finished in a better league position than, for example, Poch has. So if we're basing it upon that, I think he's done. That in that sense, he's maybe achieved what the owners set him out to achieve.
You don't feel like maybe, to some extent, you've capitulated? Because I remember in November, you guys were ahead of us by 6 points.
Nah, but I don't buy this argument, because at the end of the day, look at the amount of times we've laughed at certain teams like Tottenham. Do you remember Tottenham? We were like, oh yeah, you won the league in November because I can't remember what season it was, but everyone was getting gassed because, well, not everyone. Tottenham fans were getting gassed because they're like, oh yeah, we're top of the league or we're second or whatever it was in November and December. And we're like, oh, do you remember when you lot thought you won the league back in November? So I know I can't speak for all Chelsea fans. A lot of Chelsea fans were getting excited, but I wasn't getting excited because why? Chelsea notoriously have a bad December-January period. Yeah? Like even in some of our best seasons, the most amount of points dropped have been during that kind of end of December, early January, New Year period. So my thing was, all right, cool, we're doing nice, whatever. Apparently we're in a title race with Liverpool in November, but let's just see how we come out at the end of January. So is it a capitulation, or the other way of looking at it is, did we just have the momentum at that point? Which clearly we did, right? We were playing well, we were getting the results, everyone was firing. And that was actually the question I was asking even fellow Chelsea fans. I was saying, all right, cool, everything's good now. Why? Because Enzo Maresca's just come in. He's got a big squad. He's basically got 2 teams. He had his weekend team that were playing the Premier League, and then he'd have his weekday Europe 11, which is almost completely fresh team. Because remember, we still had João Felix then, who's obviously gone on loan now. Mudryk was still playing there before his ban and whatnot. So my thing was, all right, cool, everything's nice and rosy right now. He's got all the players on side and you're producing the results. I want to see what Enzo Maresca does when maybe he loses a few players in the dressing room or when results aren't going his way. So I don't think it was a capitulation. I just think we were on the crest of a wave. We had the momentum behind us and we were producing results, which is why we were in the position that we were in. But then things were always going to level out anyway when times got tough in the season, which they did. And now it's more a case of, right, how are we now finishing the season? Because this was the argument for Poch last season. Don't forget that. People were like, you lot should keep Poch because of how he finished the season. People forget what happened at the start of the season, but because he finished the season well, I think we won our last 5 games. So you can now make the same argument for Maresca, where, he had a good start, shaky middle, and now he's having potentially a good finish.
But on Poch, don't you think it was harsh to get rid of him? in terms of because of what's been happening above with Bowley coming in and
Oh, yeah.
everything a bit of a mess.
I think it was harsh because ultimately I'm just like, look, you've brought a manager in. He's finally kind of he's got the players playing his way and it's producing results, and now you've sacked him. But that's Chelsea, isn't it?
Chelsea, yeah, that's
That's
Do you not-
Chelsea.
do you
I'm
not
used
feel-
to it now.
Do you not feel like your whole transfer policy, right? That success has to come at some point, because I can't see a transfer window where Chelsea are not going to spend money.
Yeah.
Now, I get the whole point of like, yeah, you're like spreading the cost over like the
8-year contract.
8-year contract, 7-year contract, what have you. But there's going to come a time where if there's no success, this will affect your FFP policy.
Yep.
So I feel like, do you, like the player that you're trying to you bring in, I just feel like it's like you're almost playing roulette to some extent until it basically works.
I agree, and that's part of the problem that I've got. So when you ask, I didn't actually even get to what I think on Maresca, or whether I think he's good or whatever. Ultimately,
And what do you think about the fact that they're bringing in players essentially that really the manager probably doesn't have that much say over? Like whether it's Poch or Enzo Maresca, it's clear that whoever above is running the club, they want to pinpoint who we're going to sign, and you guys are basically.
But this is what I'm trying to say though, right? So the point I'm trying to make is with Maresca, I know certain Chelsea fans are, they want Maresca in. Others are like, nah, he's terrible, get him out, etc. My thing is, number one, right? Let's say you get rid of him. Who is the clear option you're going to go for? You can either now change your entire kind of philosophy and be like, right, let's go for a proven winner. For example, right? That's what. Huh? Who?
Super Micatera.
Oh my God. I think I'd rather have Lampard back now.
I was going to say though.
Sorry, let me just finish my point. Let me just finish my point. So for me, you either go, you change your philosophy up and you go for a proven winner. Name one who's available.
Bro, Inzaghi, bro.
Who for Inter?
Yeah.
This is a conversation I had with the
Well,
Arsenal
let's see if he wins anything. For me, winning the Italian league ain't enough for me, right?
What about?
But so let me
wait, go on.
so like I said, you change your philosophy and you go for a proven winner, right? I can't see a clear candidate right now. Or number two, you just bring in another manager who has potential, but then what? Maresca was the same thing.
Mate, Klopp's available.
Yeah, but
Klopp ain't gonna come to
Klopp
Chelsea,
ain't gonna
bro.
come to Chelsea, bro.
Never know.
No,
you
he's
just
not.
something got to pay the dough, innit?